Hi, welcome to the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and comment your thoughts and opinions on the stories. Let's get started. Am I the antagonist for leaving my friends 3 hours away with no ride home after they refused to get in my car? Throwaway cause some of the people involved. Follow my main ACC my F. 24. Friend Alicia's F. 24. Birthday was this past Sunday. She decided she wanted to have a weekend getaway with some friends at an Airbnb down by a lake that's 3 hours away. Since it was a decent drive, everybody except myself wanted to carpool. Our friend Val drove her car with Alicia and 2 of our other friends, and I drove myself. Kayla F. 23 and Bria F. 23. The Airbnb was booked Friday through Monday afternoon, so Alicia's plan was everybody drive down there Friday night and leave Monday afternoon. I was hesitant to carpool because I had to be at work at 8 AM on Monday morning and knew I would want to leave Sunday night. I wanted to drive by myself, but Kayla and Bria insisted on riding with me cause neither of them have a car. I told them that if they wanted to ride with me, they would have to be okay with leaving Sunday night, and they told me they were fine with it. I had confirmed with Alicia that the 3 of us would be leaving early and she understood. Fast forward to Sunday night around 9 PM, I tell Kayla and Bria that I'm ready to head home so I can get to bed for work in the morning. I even stayed sober on Sunday cause leaving was a for sure thing. They started pouting saying that they were having so much fun and not ready to leave, and it was Alicia's birthday. They said it's not even that late. I said no, but it is a 3-hour drive which already puts us getting back at midnight, and then the extra time to drop them both off at their houses means I'm already not getting a full night's sleep. They refuse to leave with me. They try to convince me to stay the night and leave early in the morning. I say no cause we would have to be up really early and I'd rather get home tonight. I reminded them they had agreed to this, and they said they didn't think it would be that early. I told them firmly I'm leaving right now, and they can come with me, or find another ride home. They said I wasn't serious, so I got in my car and left. After I got home I checked my phone, and was bombarded with texts from everyone saying that I ruined Alicia's birthday cause now they have to spend the rest of the night figuring out how Kayla and Bria will get home cause Val's car is full. I simply told them it's not my problem and they should have left when I asked, cause they agreed to the terms of carpooling with me before we got down there. I have not heard from any of them since except for an angry message from Kayla saying she used her parents' emergency credit card to call an Uber for them, but it was a $300 Uber ride. I reached out to Alicia to see how she feels about what happened, but haven't heard back. Am I the antagonist? Knowing that you have to work the next morning and will be driving for 3 hours in the dark. Sunday at 9 PM is a reasonable time to leave for the evening. They concur that you informed them in advance. They want to continue partying on a Sunday night is the problem. Comment by team member Taylor. Now for the top comments. NTA. Your friends are for putting you in that situation. It was pre-agreed to, and they backed out. Ride is on them to figure out. NTA. Seriously. Those people knew the agreement beforehand. They backed out. The ride is on them. I had friend or friends pull something similar to this. I had to work early one day. Took a friend to a party. I headed out around 10:11. I was sober. Didn't live far. Asked said friend if they needed a ride home. They said they were fine. I told them they'd have to find their own way home. No car. They said they were fine. I went home. They were, in fact, not fine. I woke up the next morning to about 10 missed calls and 5 texts and 2 very confused voicemails asking why I bailed and left the friend behind. Turned out that the friend got stupid drunk and ended up spending half the night loudly proclaiming the house owner, whom she'd hooked up with some months prior, had given her insty. She then spent the other half puking in the bathroom all night. Everyone was mad at me because I left her there. I sent a message to the group text that did not have the drunk friend in it and said, look, you all knew I had to work this morning and that I wasn't staying long and I wasn't drinking. I asked if she wanted a ride home. She said no. I'm not her sister. I'm her friend. I'm not responsible for her choices. no matter how dumb they are. Sorry you got saddled with her, and I'm glad you all were kind enough to watch out for her. She said she was fine when I left, and she was. Her not being able to handle her alcohol isn't my problem. Needless to say, she didn't get invited to the next several parties. She did apologize to the guy's partner and everyone at the party for her behavior, but it was at least a year before that friends group invited her out to a bar or party again. NTA. Friends are definitely tar here. Suggesting to go in the morning is ridiculous cause you would have to wake up at like 3 or 4 am and then drive, while those two could just sleep the whole way there. They were being selfish. Let's not pretend that they would have been ready to go by then. Am I the antagonist for refusing to put my fiance on the house title after he kept handing me empty pens as a prank? IF. 34 have been with my fiance M. 37 for 3 years. Getting married before the end of this year and recently moved in the house that I inherited from my mom. The house is in my name, and it took a lot of talking and convincing from him to have his name on the title as well. Now honestly part of me doesn't think this is a good idea, at least not right now, maybe after marriage. But anyway, I've decided to go ahead and put his name on the title so he could go ahead and start contributing towards mortgage more and light my burden a little bit. We've made appointments, decided on which form of ownership we were basing this on. When it was time for me to sign the deed, my fiance stopped me and gave me a pen saying this pen was his lucky pen and told me to use it to sign the deed. I took it and tried to sign, but turned out it was empty. He was like, oh, I must have forgotten, while laughing, and then pulled out his other lucky pen. I took it, tried to sign, and that one too was empty. Honestly, seeing how he was laughing I figured he was messing with me, but he swore he wasn't and pulled out another one of his lucky pens. I tried that one too, and it was empty. My fiance started cackling, and I felt humiliated, especially with how the gentleman next to him was staring. I got pissed and asked him what that was about, and he said it was a prank. I asked, really? Did you really think this was a time for pranks? He was like, it's alright, you can use a real pen now. I pushed the paper away and said, you know what? Never mind, because I no longer want you on the deed. He lost it completely, saying we had a deal and I can't back out of it just like that, and that it was a stupid joke that I took too seriously. We had an argument and I refused to sign the deed, at least not then and there. At home he blew up again, saying I was the one who delayed the process and that he already gave me a real pen and all I had to do was sign the damn paper and get it over with. He accused me of looking for an excuse not to have him on the deed and started the silent treatment, saying there's nothing to say till those papers are signed. Did I really take this too seriously? Cancel the entire engagement until he matures. Never include someone in the title unless you both buy a home at the same time. What is divided stays divided. Get a friendlier roommate than that ass if you need help with the expenses. Comment by team member Corey. Now for the top comments. NTA. Why would you even consider putting him on the deed? It is your inherited property. Currently he isn't entitled to anything. Why would you change it so you could potentially lose it in the future? That would not be a very smart action. NTA. Why would you even consider putting him on the deed? TBH. After this prank op should reevaluate if marrying him is such a good idea. Please don't add him. He pressured you before marriage, and after your bereavement, he should be supporting you. Put the house into a trust that will protect it, and get a prenup to protect your asset. Not legally binding in the UK at the moment, but influences a divorce decision. Personally, I wouldn't marry him because of the pressure exerted when you are most vulnerable, and the stupid prank at a legal appointment when it's costing you several £100s for the advice and actual appointment. He uses this to humiliate you. You've got an appreciable asset in your name entirely. He hasn't. Perhaps he's expressing his jealousy and acting up. This is not going to get better after marriage. Postpone the wedding and sort this out in therapy. If you add him to the deed, then marry, then he leaves a year after, you might have to sell your home and lose half. At OKRAOK8923, thank you so much. Like I said, I really wasn't ready to take this step, so to speak, at least not until I feel like I'm ready. but he said that he, as my future husband, is expected to share the house one way or another. I still wasn't convinced despite going along with it. Am I the antagonist for snapping at my doctor and causing a nurse to be fired? Am I the antagonist for snapping at my doctor and causing a nurse to be fired? This story was brought up a few months ago, and I was told I was the a-hole for snapping at my doctor and causing his nurse to get fired. Important backstory: a few years ago I was playing with a puppy. His sharp ass baby teeth punctured my palm and gave me a staph infection, so after 10 days I went home with instructions to follow up with my surgeon in 6 weeks. Well, 2 weeks before I'm to have my appointment, my hand started showing minor signs of infection. So I call my surgeon's office, tell them what's going on, and asked what they want me to do since I won't see them for 2 weeks. The nurse on the phone tells me to do daily peroxide rinses once a day, and if it gets worse to go to the onto the appointment. So I show up, and a nurse brings me to an exam room. She asks what I'm doing at home for wound care, and I tell her what I was told to do, and she claims that's good, we do those a lot here, and proceeded to unwrap my hand and give it a peroxide rinse. She leaves, and 5 minutes later my surgeon walks in with the nurse. We chat and he commented on my hand not healing much, so I told him what happened and what I'd been doing. He suddenly gets this look on his face that is just anger and pissed off. He sternly looks at me and says, "You're lying." IDK what my face did, but the nurse gives this like, "What the fuck did he say?" So I tell him I'm not lying. That is what happened. I called and that's what I was told to do. He again more angrily says, "Do not lie to me. No one in this office would ever tell you to that. You did it on your own." This of course goes back and forth a few times. He continues to get angrier, and that nurse has a look of horror on her face. He then stood up, walked to the door, opened it, and asked loudly, "Would anyone recommend using peroxide rising on a healing wound?" Silence, and then a few small "no." Then, while standing the door, turns to me and says, "See, you are lying. No one would ever recommend that from this office. You did this on your own. It's your fault. Your wound isn't healing. If I found out anyone had recommended that, I'd fire them." So this is where my friend said AITA, but I think I should be able to stand up for myself. I looked at the nurse and she's just white as a ghost. I look at my doctor and loudly say, "That's funny." When I came in, the nurse asked me what I were doing for wound care, and when I told her peroxide rinses, she claimed that was great and proceeded to do a peroxide rinse. My doctor just stands there in the doorway where everyone can hear me and just stares at me, then the nurse, and back to me, then just walks out, and the nurse follows. 15 minutes later a different nurse walks in, rewraps my hand and hands me a referral to a plastic surgeon for the next day. I asked about the nurse, and she was fired right after it happened. To doctors and surgeons occasionally exhibit bad behavior because they develop god complexes while in school. You now have a sepsis risk thanks to that nurse. Your life or perhaps your hand might have been in danger. He made the office hostile and accused you of lying. Comment by team member Alex. Now for the top comments. NTA. Your doctor was a giant knob about it but isn't wrong. He can't have his staff giving out bad medical advice. BC it puts patients in danger and opens him up for lawsuits. NTA. If she got fired immediately, that means what she was doing would negatively impact the healing process significantly. I'm no medical professional, though, so I don't know how bad that could be, but it could cause it to be more prone to infection, nerve or tissue damage or some other negative consequence. If she had told someone with the wrong injury to do this to their injury, that might have even killed them. Good job, op. You more than likely saved someone a good amount of pain. However, that doctor was acting like a bit of an asshole too. If she got fired immediately, that means what she was doing would negatively impact the healing process significantly. She got fired immediately for this. Not so much because of the damage it could do to the patient, but because she put the whole office in jeopardy too. Doc gets sued over this. Every employee at that practice is affected. Some places in the medical field have a zero tolerance policy on mistakes too. That is, you screw up, no second chances. Usually for the above reasons. Hydrogen peroxide gets rid of bacteria and other stuff you want gotten rid of, but it also gets rid of healthy cells. It can increase scarring, and definitely isn't something you want to use long term. NTA. Not only was it the doctor's choice to fire her and not yours, she apparently just stood and watched the doc be an ass to you, lied to the doctor, and caused you ABD who knows how many other people longer healing times. That's just what we know from your post. I honestly never looked at it that way. I think his reaction just made the rest seem insignificant. Am I the antagonist for being childish over something my wife did? A month ago I, 32 male, found out I had a daughter, Maya, 9F. It was a shock to both me and my wife, Dawn, 35F, because we always thought I was the infertile one. While me and Maya have been spending time together, Dawn has been down. I originally thought it was because of the shock of finding out she was infertile, and I tried to comfort her, because when I thought I was infertile it was devastating. 2 days ago me and Maya's mom, Kathy, finalized the custody situation, and we both decided 50-50. Yesterday I was on the shared iPad between me and Dawn and I found a message that was sent from Dawn's phone, but showed up on the iPad that was sent to Kathy's number. Dawn told Kathy that I had decided that I didn't want Maya in my life anymore, and that I said I don't feel ready for kids, which is a complete lie. When I confronted Dawn, she went from denying it to justifying it by saying that she only meant well and saying that the paternity test could have been wrong. I was genuinely shocked and sad because the person I love doesn't accept my daughter, and I never thought that Dawn would have done something like this. Of course I did expect her to feel sad because of the fact that my child didn't come from her, but never her going as far as lying and saying I didn't want Maya. Since yesterday I have been ignoring her. She has been calling me childish and telling me that I didn't lose Maya, so I should be fine, and refusing to apologize. I explained what happened to Kathy. Honestly, I'm rethinking our marriage and I think divorce would be best. I wouldn't be surprised if Kathy didn't want to do 50-50 because of Dawn's behavior. I wouldn't want someone who didn't accept my daughter to be around her. I don't know if this is an overreaction, but I do feel hurt and angry over this. Maybe I'm acting childish. Edit. I did talk about it with Dawn, and she was the one who advised for the test. And 50-50 was talked about and agreed. Did you discuss the 50/50 split with your wife? She will soon live in the house you share with her half the time with the 9-year-old child. Obtain a second paternity test before Maya becomes further confused. Make a commitment to taking fertility tests with Dawn if it is determined that you are the father. Comment by team member Corey. Now for the top comments. This doesn't matter to my judgment on the scenario as presented. Just curious. For 9 years, you didn't know you had a child. Then in the course of 1 month, you and her mother, who we can presume didn't tell you for a reason, already have a custody agreement and she's allowing 50% to you, someone she hasn't known in 9 years. Or were you in touch? And if so, how did you now know? Going from not telling him he had a daughter to doing 50/50 within the space of a month is extremely fast moving too, even for the court process. Like break your neck whiplash fast. I'm not defending the wife, but it's not surprising she's gone off the deep end, as that's quite an extreme change of lifestyle, especially when they've been trying to conceive and now there's a kid that's not hers and that they've never heard of before this summer started living with them, and the girl's just cool with this. She's never met up before, but is splitting her time between her mom and a virtual stranger who she's told is her dad, and all is fine. It almost makes me doubt this story tbh. Yep, the timeline doesn't add up one bit. Found out, mulled over getting a paternity test, got the test, spent time with daughter, decided on a custody agreement, mulled over the custody agreement, and got an agreement in place. Yeah, not buying this story. This whole story rubs me the wrong way. So baby mama shows up after 9 years with your child. All this time you assumed you were the infertile one, but you two never got checked out. So in a very short period of time you tell your wife she's infertile. You have a 9Y/O and BTW are getting 50/50 custody. No wonder she went nuts. I'm not condoning her actions, but damn. Now you want to divorce her for a child you barely know. I get it, but wow, everyone sucks here. Right? The amount of people in here just condoning the wife's actions, but ignoring how he basically checked out of his marriage. Personally, if I was the wife, I would have divorced him, pushed my feelings out of the door. Am I the antagonist for throwing out my sister's husband? I am 30, had my birthday recently, and my intermediate family was there. My best friend, F35, was also there. Without saying too much to respect her privacy, I won't say too much info. But the only thing you need to know is that she was in special movies in her early 20s, but quit the industry a few years ago. We'll call me Emmy, and Male are super close, and have been friends since I was 10 and she was 15. She used to babysit me as her mother would cut my mother's hair. We've been with each other through all our lives, and we are both the godparents to our potential children. Since she's basically my sister without blood, she's been at most of the functions I've had. Our families have also celebrated Christmas together. My birthday this year was special, as the thing that shall not be named made so I couldn't really have any guests over. This year was also special, as my sister has gotten divorced and gotten remarried, so I met her new husband. The birthday was fine, and like most of them, but it went kind of wrong. Somehow, sister's new man had seen Male in videos and started flirting and making her uncomfortable. My sister and her son-me nephew had gone home a little earlier. He'd also been drinking and this accelerated his behavior. She told me, and I got mad and said that he knocks it off or he's not allowed here. After about 20 minutes, he continued being gross, and I called a cab and made him leave. The day later, my sister called and got offended and said I wasn't respecting him by doing that. I told her the situation, and she said Male shouldn't have been in those videos in the first place. I told her that he's not allowed to come to more birthday parties if he acts like that around women. And this made so that my mother and aunt call me, also called calling me unfair. This also made my sister post memes about respect and blood is thicker than water on Facebook. I stood my ground and called him personally about it, and this made so my sister hasn't talked to me in several days. Am I the antagonist? The sex industry requires work. It doesn't diminish someone's worth and doesn't justify anyone else acting like a creepy perv. The only thing that should worry your sister is that her husband has shown that he cannot control his horn. You had the right to eject him. Comment by team member Charlie. Now for the top comments. NTA, he was making a woman uncomfortable. That's gross. It doesn't matter what she used to do or what video she was in. No is no. His behavior is unacceptable. Also, blood is not thicker than water. Stand by the family you choose. Especially since it's okay for him to watch her in those videos, but not okay for her to be in them. Like what? Honestly, there's such a double standard with anything P0RN related. Men can watch them, but PPL berate women who did them. NTA. Why is anyone defending a man who was not only harassing another woman, but flirting with her, and presumably trying to sleep with her? You did the right thing. A married man, not the a-hole. NTA. He was attempting to flirt with someone he watched in some adult shows while married to your sister. Not only was he offensive to you and your friend, he was disrespectful to his vows. Your sister doesn't want to see this part of the situation because it means her husband has shown that he cannot be faithful, and the rest of your family sucks for attacking your friend. Exactly. And when sister's husband cheats on her, sister will blame the other woman and ignore the fact that her husband was a willing participant as well. NTA. Am I the antagonist for not letting niece move in with me and costing her a scholarship? I live in a city with good universities. My salary is small and I just get by. My partner is unemployed. Their family is complex. My late mother-in-law was made marry when she was 15. She had 6 kids raised by her mom. Separated, met partner, had 4 more kids. Partner died, reconciled with husband, and had my partner. My partner grew up with 4 half siblings. The full siblings had no contact with them and don't think the halves are real siblings. My partner has never met 4 of them. An unmet brother has 3 girls, A, B and C. They live in a small town. As they're poor, they got university scholarships. A and B study in a costly private uni in my city. C is about to start uni. I reached out to my partner in her 2nd semester 5 years ago. They got on well. She's bright, sociable, charming. She moved in with us, and we've grown fond of her. Academic issues mean her scholarship ran out with 3 non-funded semesters to go. I was happy to give her a cheap room. B visited twice. She started uni in 2020. A year ago she discovered classes would be in person, so she asked to move in. We had 4 days notice. Their father sent a WhatsApp text to my partner to ask us to house her. This is the only contact we've ever had with them. I agreed as I had liked her. B and they share a room. They buy their food, do laundry, prepare their food. They're nice young ladies. We've had no issues. They pay internet and electricity. While I appreciate their help, I'd not rent the room otherwise. There are 4 bedrooms. My partner and I have our own. The girls share. The 40H is my office. IWFH there, or the living room. I understood that C had no scholarship and would study in a different city. Last week, I said C received a scholarship here at the same uni. I was certain their family would expect me to house her. On Monday I asked if the 3 could share their room and pay a real rent. They fear CLL lose her scholarship as rules state she must start studying this semester. Classes start August 4. I get it. They're close and want to help their little sister. But I don't want her here. I've never met or even spoken to her. I don't want to live with a person I've never met. My partner doesn't want another person in the house. Their parents have made no other effort to contact us in 5 years. We invited C to visit 3 times, but she didn't want to. They were apparently too timid to make contact. I feel their parents presumed it was my obligation to house her as I'd already taken in their other 2. I suggested C look for a room on her own or with B. Both have a small stipend and could afford it, but their mom is too busy to come and B is busy with class. My saying yes was their only option. I told A no yesterday. They're not talking to me ATM. I feel I've done enough for a family I've never even met, and Hoss made no effort to meet me. But I still feel pretty guilty. Am I the antagonist for not taking her in? You owe them nothing. Really? A and B are free to find alternative accommodations if they cannot agree. How many of your partner's nieces who is unemployed are you supposed to house? A will graduate when? How did 3 semesters become 5 years? Comment by team member Parker. Now for the top comments. That's such a hard situation, and good on you for helping these kids as much as you have. As you said, you're barely scraping by and the parents have made no effort at a relationship. You have every right to decide who lives in your house. And above all, you and your partner are on the same page. NTA. Good luck. Thanks. I feel awful as it's so unfair that a youngest sibling won't have the same opportunities as her eldest sisters. Haven't you already saved them enough money by this point to push back a bit? I would say you have. Perhaps their uninvolved parents, as far as OP is concerned, could step up a little to return the favor. They haven't seemed to do anything yet. NTA, you are doing them such a huge favor and they are not making any effort to show gratitude. But they still expect you to take in 3 kids. NTA, why is the mental energy of managing this situation and being the one to say yes or no falling to you? Your partner needs to step up and talk directly with his big sibling. Set up a Zoom call where you together can talk with A, B and C's parents. You can compliment them on what lovely children they have raised in A and B, and tell them that you have been happy to be in the position where you have a little bit of space to share, and that they have been respectful in sharing this space, which is especially important given that you work from home. But your husband can explain that having extra people in the house adds to your stress and means you two are never truly alone and rarely truly have full privacy. Adding a 3rd person is a big ask, and it wasn't fair to spring this on you just 2 weeks before class starts. You two were thinking that A and B would be through school and you'd have the room free, and now C, whom you've never met, wants to add to your already full household. And does she expect to be able to live in that room for the full 4 years of her program? You both need to speak to the parents on camera and meet C on camera. Thing is, my partner and his brother have never even spoken at all. His brother was brought up by his grandmother who despised the daughter she forced into marrying aged 15. Until Nisei made contact, we only knew that she existed.